Good afternoon and welcome to Omnibroslive, where you get the best Sunday news and coffee with the Omnibros usual gang of idiots, including Omnidog and Comics Guys 101's Lou. Lou, how you doing?
Hey, good, man. I'm a little tired. I had a video going last night and my Mac crashed, so I lost the entire video. So I was pretty mad. But I'm good.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm running on only about 4 hours of sleep right now. So, it happens. It's okay. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. It's a nice Sunday morning over here, and it's not raining yet, but you know how it is during the summer. It'll just rain in the afternoon. I don't know where.
yeah. Yeah, it's gonna rain here today at some point too in Virginia. All it ever does is we've just had nothing but rainy thunderstorms. Huge tree crashed on my street and is blocking the whole street and the fire hydrant. So we called the non-emergency part of the fire department, and they'll figure out who's in charge of getting rid of that tree. Is it the fire department, Virginia road crew, Dominion Power, the homeowner? I know it's not me, but it's impacting my life. So
you're not gonna go out there and take care of it, Jess?
You should see how thick this tree is. I mean, it's gigantic. I don't have any of the tools. Even if I had a chainsaw, I couldn't do the base of this tree.
Oh, geez, wow!
It's huge.
Wow, it's that bad.
It would have taken out. It would totally would have taken out somebody's car.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did the root beer yesterday, didn't you? Something got a bath?
Yeah.
What was it?
It was by Ed Brubaker.
Oh, no.
It was Deadly Genesis.
I've never even heard of that.
Wait, is that the name of it? Wait, yeah, it's the book I hate that he wrote for the I just poured root beer on it and I blanked it from my mind already. Yeah, the book that he wrote that retconned Vulcan into the X-Men. Yeah, Deadly Genesis.
Oh, I've never heard of that. But I'm not a huge X-Men guy like Omar and Riley are.
Oh yeah, Make Havoc. Yeah, it was the X-Men book that retconned Vulcan into the X-Men and then helped start War of Kings. I thought it was awful, so I dumped root beer on it yesterday with Kristan during the live review of books.
An X-Men book and a Brubaker book at that, getting a bath. Wow.
I apologized to Brubaker profusely before I did it. I know it wasn't, he had nothing to do with it. I'm sure Marvel editors cooked that whole plot up. It was really awful. They cooked the whole plot up. It was just a genuinely bad idea where Professor X, so you've never read it, huh?
I've never read it.
Professor X blanked everybody's mind from remembering that, and blanked Moira McTaggart's mind for remembering that he had like a secret band of youngsters all ready to go to rescue the giant size X-Men group of teenagers that went in to the Savage Land to rescue them, and they all got killed, this secret band, except for Vulcan. And only Vulcan survived, and he has this twin inside him named, I can't remember now, what was his name in the chat? What was the name of the guy inside Vulcan? Darwin. Okay, it was Darwin. Never mind, chat. Yeah, I know Nashvilleans. I'm getting to the in-stock trade in just a sec.
They're just taking us the long way there, but we're getting.
I'm gonna get you there. So, he blanks everybody's mind about it, and then Vulcan shows up out of nowhere and reminds everybody that he's still alive and Professor X has lied to everybody about his existence and about this previous group of teenagers, and Moira McTaggart's all upset, and the X-Men are all upset that they didn't know and that their minds have been blanked and that he had lied to them, and Vulcan's all pissed off, and Vulcan has all these amazing powers now, and he helps start the War of Kings, which is like this separate thing now.
This sounds terrible.
It's awful. Now, War of Kings, the event, is actually good. I'm reading that now, and it's actually good. I mean, they could have figured out a way to get Vulcan into the X-Men without having this awful retcon. They could have figured out a way to get Vulcan in there without this hokey retcon. And there's Gabe Infinity Watch. What's going on, Gabe?
What up? I came in just in time to hear the weekly rant of War of Kings, Realm of Kings from Jess. Anti-Vulcan propaganda.
Propaganda? No, it's just this book that he's in, Deadly Genesis. So that's what I poured root beer on yesterday.
On the Omnibus or what?
No, on the trade paperback. I had pulled it in my reorganization of all my X-Men books that Patrick Kindervater had been helping me with, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it, and Fariha convinced me to pour root beer on it. I was just going to throw it away. I didn't want to donate it.
Got the old root beer bath, huh?
Yeah, and I did it yesterday with Kristan. And if you'd like to get Deadly Genesis, or even better, some kind of good books, you can get them from InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add another 2% to that. Every quarter, there's an Omnibros discount code. Order $50 or more worth of books in the United States, you get free shipping. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com.
Hey, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, that was my root beer bath book yesterday. It was just, that book was the equivalent to Green Lantern the movie, I guess. I don't know.
Wow. Wow.
So
I don't know, because I haven't seen that movie.
So, gun to your head, what would you rather read? Astounding Wolfman, Nightfall, or this book again?
There's a real gun to my head?
If there was a gun to your head, you had to read one of the three. Which one would you pick? Because I know you hate each one really, really bad.
Why would somebody like waste all their time with a gun to try and force Jess to read something?
People have been killed for far less than the state of Florida.
I guess I'd read Nightfall, I guess.
Ooh. I'm sorry.
I really hate Astounding Wolfman, or what was it? Astounding? Is it Astounding Wolfman?
Whatever it was, the Kirkman Wolf book.
Yeah, the Kirkman Wolf book. I really hate that. But at least the Batman Nightfall. At least I'm comfortable with Batman to a certain extent. But this Vulcan book was just awful.
You know, if Nightfall happened in like the early 60s, you would have loved it. If Nightfall was a Silver Age Batman story.
Oh, and I read it when I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Probably. You're probably right. That's probably why you guys liked it, because you grew up reading it.
I'm lukewarm.
I think Nightfall was my first real crossover. Where it was like, oh, I just read this issue and it's totally awesome, and then I got to go find the next chapter in this other book. I have no idea what it is.
Right.
You know, so that was my first experience, I think, with that. That might have been, or was that? It could have been Executioner's Song. I don't know. It was one of those two, but I remember I was like, oh, I gotta find this next chapter, but it's in this book I never heard of before. You know, like what the hell is Showcase 93 or whatever it was.
Alex B asked an excellent question. Just finished Invincible. The ending was very underwhelming. And Lou, you answered with good answers. What books do people recommend that really stick the ending? And Lou said, "Why the Last Man, Preacher, and Transmet." And you'd have to. I would have to recommend Irredeemable. You'd have to read it digitally because it's too hard to find out there in the real world. But digitally, Irredeemable sticks the landing.
Speaking of like Batman books, a lot of the Jeff Loeb Batman books, I think, really stick the landing. I mean, it's not like an ongoing series; they're all finite miniseries. But like Long Halloween, Dark Victory, those all like I think stuck the landing really well. Or are we just talking about like long, 15-year run books?
No. I think you're right. I think that Fatale, Joe Chip said Fatale. That I agree with that. Fade Out, I agree with that. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know about Saga yet.
Planetary. I'm just looking at my shelves right now.
Yeah. Lock and Key.
Jeff Johns Green Lantern run. Yeah.
100 Bullets.
I haven't finished that.
Me either. Yeah, me either.
You guys got to get on that.
Fables has a good ending.
I still need to finish that. I stopped around Covenant Boyland.
I gotta finish getting the rest of the hardcovers and just marathon that bad boy.
Totally.
What up, Gio?
Hey,
Gio.
Sorry. What's up, guys?
Hi, Gio.
Hi.
Hi, Wade.
Well, what about I haven't finished reading it, but I know you guys really have an emotional attachment to Silver Surfer. The Dan Slott.
Oh yeah, that really stuck the ending. Good call.
Punisher Max, the Jason Aaron, Steve Dillon.
That
was a fantastic ending.
Yeah.
Berserk, if it ever finishes this ending, maybe. I don't know.
Sweet Tooth, I like that ending.
Never finished it.
Sweet Tooth is good. Sweet Tooth is really the ending is really truncated though.
Yeah.
It's really crammed in there, but he still sticks it really well.
Some people have a problem with that ending. I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Did you notice it is a bit crammed in? There's a lot he covers in a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
Kind of like he had more he wanted to tell, but he never got to it. But it still sticks it pretty well. Ooh, the Fade Out.
Yeah.
The Fade Out and Fatale.
You don't listen. You don't listen when I talk, do you?
I was paying attention to the chat. No, the Fatale for me is still Brubaker's best book.
I'm still trying to look at my shelves to figure out anything else I could think about the top of my head.
Some people
I'm looking at my shelf too.
Superior Foes of SpiderMan. That last issue was fantastic. That's probably one of the best last issues of any series.
That's a good book. Yeah. It's a really good book.
Fear Agent. That's a great ending. That's a tearjerker.
I haven't read it. I have the 2 library books, but I don't think I've ever really cracked them open.
That's a tearjerker of an ending. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, if Alex likes manga, then Pluto. It's beautiful. I love Pluto. It's one of the few books that once I finished it, I was actually a mess and I was crying. It's beautiful.
Speaking of endings, what about the Walking Dead ending, Luis? I know you read it.
We talked about it on Thursday. I was disappointed. I didn't care for it. A long story. I mean, my long review short is just. I even called how it was going to end. I mentioned it as kind of like a joke to you guys in the app. I was like, oh, this is how it's going to end. And sure enough, I nailed it. And I was like, okay. Thought you'd be more creative with how that would go ahead and finish. So, I didn't care for it. I thought it was kind of boring.
Well, some websites were saying it was a masterpiece and 10 out of 10s. I'm like, what? Okay.
Who said that?
I think IGN and another website. They gave it like
Twitter too much. You get too much of your info off of Twitter. I think it's bad for you.
Oh, dude, Twitter
Sorry.
just in general is just a cesspool. Every time I go on there, because I got nothing better to do, like I'm up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got nothing better to do. I'll scroll through Twitter. I'm like, oh, this is the worst.
Yeah.
Do you guys? I mean, do you guys really care if I say like what? It's stupid. I'm sorry. I thought the other was pretty good.
You mean if you spoil it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't care. Just tell people you're getting ready to spoil it.
We're spoiling stuff, so don't bitch in the comments later.
It's the last issue of Walking Dead. No one cares.
So
we're spoiling it here.
Don't care or that you haven't read. Basically, it just flashes forward and it's following Carl Grimes around.
That flash forward is like hardcore. Flash forward is like 20 years or something.
20, 30 years. And there are some things that just don't really make sense to me. So flash forward 20, 30 years, and now it's like the Old West. I'm not bullshitting you. It's the Old West again, and everybody's got like a horse and buggy, and everybody's like living in like a Western setting, and
zombies are like are literally a sideshow attraction.
Zombies are like a sideshow attraction, and the thing that was weird to me was the fact that Kirkman was like, that the story was basically like, oh, nobody's really seen a roamer in like 20, 30 years, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't kind of make sense because when you guys die, you pretty much just pop right back up and you're a roamer again. So does that mean that the virus is cured? There's just a few things where I'm just like, that seemed kind of lazy.
I have a question. I never read the book. If you died naturally, did you pop up as a zombie, or what happened if you died naturally?
You come back anyway.
Yeah.
No matter what way you die, you always come back as a zombie?
As long as your brain is
back.
Because it's a virus and everybody's infected.
Yeah, pretty much. And that was like a whole big deal halfway through the series where Rick goes, "We are the Walking Dead," and everybody's like, "Oh shit, yeah, okay."
But they never tell you what caused the outbreak or anything, which is fine. I don't think I like it better when zombie type stories don't tell you how it happens.
Right, I'm the same way. I'm actually the same way too. I'm cool with it not telling me what caused the outbreak or anything like that. I'm good. Let's just roll with it. You don't need to really give me an explanation with what exactly happened, which is why I like Dawn of the Dead and Zack Snyder's remake Dawn of the Dead, because it's like from the beginning. They hit the gas pedal in the beginning of that remake, and they don't let up. It's just go from the very beginning. But yeah, long story short, it just follows kind of like a day in the life of older Carl Grimes, and you basically for 70 pages get to see that they've reestablished society, everything is good, and that Rick became like this figurehead, and like he'll fade into legend, and It was boring. It was really boring.
It was like the perfect fantasy kind of ending. It was almost like How I Met Your Mother, where it's just Carl just like, reminiscing stories of his past and kind of catching you up on who's who and where they're at now and stuff like that.
Right, and the thing is, it's a little bit too clean of an ending for me. For me personally, it's like, oh, everything turned out perfect in the end, and everybody's okay, okay, all right.
Do you think maybe they could have used the extra issues to develop that ending a little bit more?
There is literally like 20 years. It just cuts right to it, and there's like 20 years of story there that I'm not sure what, if Kirkman was planning on it or what happened, or maybe he just got burned out and he didn't want to write it anymore, or what the deal is with the book. But jumping ahead 20 years like that, there's a lot of stuff and a lot of character beats that really get changed around. Like Carl ends up with I forgot the girl's name. Carl ends up with one of the girls, and you think that he's gonna end up with the other one, and you're like, okay, well, what happened with that relationship that fell out? And there's just a lot of stuff there that you're like, oh, okay. And they're now establishing like a railroad, and there are books that the flash forward thing is it's if it's done well, it can really hit emotionally. It can really, really stick the landing, and it can be really good. Why the Last Man for me is just perfect. They nail that flash forward, and they hit you with every single emotional beat. But at the same time, Why the Last Man does it really intelligently, because it's not like you go from one issue and 20 years later it's there. It's in the same issue you're going, okay, here's what happened 5 years down the line.
It's a lot of exposition.
Yeah, yeah, but at the same time, they show you that transition, and it works better because they're gradually building up towards the ending, and it's like, okay, here's what happened 5 years down the line. Here's 10 years. Here's 20 years. Here's 30 years. Okay, here's 50 years down the line. And they're building up all these little moments to the grand conclusion versus this, which is just, it kind of feels like Kirkman hit the brake on his story because he saw that this was a good point where he could just end it with the, okay, we're balls deep in spoilers at this point. So with the death of Rick last issue, so he hit the brake on it. He's like, yeah, let's just end this here. And this is a great place for me to just jump 20 years. You know, who knows? Who knows what he had planned, or who knows if there was something else back behind the scenes or anything. Like I mentioned before, Gabe, you said you were able to get you guys were able to get like 30 extra issues, but I don't know. I personally felt that this sudden abrupt ending kind of screwed over the retailers a little bit, especially the small.
We were able to order. I put it in order. Well, it was more than 30, but we were able to put in an order because it was still orderable. The day that the news broke that this was going to be the last issue, it was still orderable for stores. So stores getting screwed over on it, whatever. I mean, if a store is half decent and half vigilant with the going-ons of the comic industry, trust me, there's a lot of them who were very, very separated from the daily news and the daily goings-ons of comic book news. If you have a Facebook account or you have an Instagram account or anything, then you would have saw that this happened and you could have jumped on and ordered more copies. But, obviously Kirkman wasn't in this to sell as many copies as he wanted. He could have did like 50 different variants. He could have made this huge event that was built up and then really just fizzled out. And that would have been probably even worse. It would have been kind of almost like the Batman wedding, where it was just built up and built up and built up and you got totally blue-balled on it. So I like how he did it. I've been saying this for a while on a lot of things, that we are really spoiled when it comes down to things like solicitation and being pre-prepared for everything and know everything that's going on ahead of time, and everything just becoming a hype event. And I'm glad to see that he just said, you know what, I'm going to quietly end this. I'm going to kind of have to fool people a little bit and solicit 3 extra issues that I know don't exist and have Charlie already draw the covers for them. All that's kind of a cover up to kind of keep this mainly, I'm guessing, or I'm assuming, for the fans, the people who are actually reading this book on a monthly basis and have it on their pull list, and it's a normal thing for them, as opposed to somebody randomly trying to go out the last second, buying all 50 covers of it and trying to flip it or hoard them or whatever the case might be. That this is kind of for the legitimate fans. And you know what? Kirkman doesn't need the money, obviously. So he did it the way he did it. And if stores aren't on top of their game, then you missed out. Then it is what it is. Either way, I don't know what my numbers are for the store, but let's say I have 50 people on pull boxes and I ordered 70 copies of this book. Usually, you order, your automatic reserves, and then you order extras for the wall. Everybody who has copies of this book sold them out. So everybody made money off of this book. Everybody sold out of this book, which is a good thing. Nobody wants to have a bunch of leftover issues of a comic. So I don't think any stores technically got screwed over. They all made their money. They all sold all their stock. So I think everybody's good. And there's a second print coming out, so that will sell also.
What is it going for on eBay right now? Do we know?
Last time I checked, I think it was like $50, $40 to $50.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 70-page. It's an extra sized one, and
but it's still like the regular $350 or $399 or whatever the normal cost of Walking Dead is.
I'm looking online at the solicitation for 194, and it's very eerie now that we know that the series ended.
Yeah, it made it look like Kara was getting ready to die on those last couple of issue covers that they made.
Yeah.
So it's 70 pages. Don't waste your money. That's my 2 cents. I don't think you should waste your money on it.
The $350 or the $50?
The $350. Go pick up something else better. Pick up something else good, better. Use that money and I don't know, for a couple of extra bucks, you can pick up something nice from in stock trades.
Is Gabe, in your opinion, is that $50 eBay price sustainable, or is it going to come back down to and settle in at like the $15 mark?
It's gonna settle in. It probably won't be more than, like you said, $15, maybe 20 at the most. There's a second print coming out. It's really right now just the hype of it being the surprise finite to the series that nobody expected.
Right.
And I think it's worth the $4 if you just kind of want to know what happens and you're kind of interested in the ending. Sure, pick it up. And yes, for anybody who is in a tizzy or is worried or troubled on whether the final compendium or the final trade or the final hardcover is going to include this last issue, of course it's going to include this last issue. They're not going to not put it in there. So
yeah,
everybody can calm down about that. Because there's a lot of that in the group and different groups and online that people were worried, like, what's going to happen? The solicitation doesn't say 193 is in there. It's going to be in there. We all know that's going to happen. And Words in Ink had a real quick. Words in Ink wanted to know if the Monsters hardcover was worth the upgrade from the trades. Motherfuck yeah, it is. That hardcover is fantastic. I have it right here. It's fantastic looking. I don't have the trades. I've never read the series. I bought this purely on everybody on this panel constantly talking about how amazing it is.
Yes.
People in the store, employees, and other customers who constantly talk about how great this book is. I was just waiting for a nice oversized hardcover, and we definitely got it. It's 18 issues. It's a pretty thick, massive book. It's beautiful looking. It's gorgeous looking. If you're a hardcover person, sell those trades and put that money towards the hardcover. It's totally worth it.
Agree. 100% agree.
I have the trade, so I need to upgrade.
Well,
yeah, I mean, just look at this thing, dude. This thing is just bitching. Like, there's nothing. This is one of probably the nicer looking hardcovers out there. And then it's oversized. The art really just pops a lot. And I don't know if the paper quality is different in here compared to the trades, but it's just a gorgeous looking book.
Yeah, story and art are all A+.
Yeah, this is really like, this is the reason you wait. I wait, you wait. We all wait for hardcovers. It's for something of this kind of prestige, hard work put into it. This is a beautiful looking book. So
yeah,
and there's a bunch of I think there's a bunch of back matter in here too, like covers and sketches and stuff like that as well. So I don't know if that stuff's in the trades or not, but it's in here. So boom.
Nice. Pretty sure I ordered it.
Okay. Jess, we have a funeral to announce.
Yes,
another ending of an era.
Sadly, it's this guy's funeral.
Damn it, DC is continuing to cancel things.
Jess, Mad Magazine. We hardly knew you. You brought us years of entertainment and joy. We'll miss you, Mad Magazine, for all the satirical comedy that you brought us, and all the joy, and all the political intrigue.
Demonetized.
That will be fine.
I think Taps is in the public domain.
Go ahead, Jeff. Let us know about Mad Magazine.
Well, this is from my desk. I used to have a bunch of these as a little kid. These, you could get like 10 for $1 of all these What Me Worries. I read Mad. So I have this on my desk. And I pulled a bunch of my old Mads from my collection that I have. I pulled a bunch of them, and then I continue to collect them. But I think you have the story in front of you. Let's see, where's some of my really old ones? Here's an old one.
Yeah.
Here's some old ones.
For those of you that are not aware, Mad Magazine, the long-standing magazine, is done. They are shutting it down, more or less. What they're planning to do now is that they are not going to be releasing new issues, but instead what they're going to be doing is that they're going to be doing re-releases of old issues, and then once a year for their annual issue, they're going to be putting out a new one. So you're only getting one new issue a year, and the rest is just reprints, which it kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I think we each, you guys are pretty close in age, although I think Gabe's a little older than the two of you are, and I'm older than two of you put together. But each of us has our decade, of growing up in Mad. This one right here is perfect for me to open up.
Mm-hmm.
We have this one right here. This was where you went for political and social commentary and satire as a kid, especially like a 12 or 13-year-old boy. I think it was mainly aimed at middle school and teenage boys. This is where you went to get your political and social commentary. It's where you would find all the the cats are all bats. You know, you see your Dr. Seuss, these guys are having cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you would find all kinds of stuff about the stuff you wouldn't know existed. Okay, this is just from my perspective. Stuff back in the 60s. I grew up in the, I grew up in the 60s and 70s. So mid 60s, like civil rights, and mid to late 60s, civil rights, ecology, like air pollution, and the creation of the EPA, Vietnam War, that kind of stuff is what cigarette smoking. This is what Mad would tackle. This is what the hot topics were. Politics. This is the stuff that I mean I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known any of this stuff as a kid. And then they would take on the president. And this is who the president was at this time. That's right. I lived through LBJ as president. But they would take him on as, president and make fun of him. And this is where I would get my satire and political commentary and things like that, because I wasn't going to read the newspaper at 9 years old or however I was in the late 60s. I was going to read Mad Magazine. I wasn't going to read, the San Francisco Examiner or Chronicle. I was going to read comic books or Mad, and this is where I would get all my info from. And so this is where I learned about civil rights, and where I learned about this is where I got my info about civil rights and the Vietnam War and Richard Nixon and LBJ and stuff like that, is through the political commentary. This is where I saw, as a Northern California white kid, this is where I learned about lynching, things like that, stuff from, if you grew up in the South, obviously in the 60s, you would have known about lynching because of other reasons, because maybe in the 60s and 50s and 60s, I guess early 60s, it may have still been going on in the South in certain places. In Northern California, that was completely foreign to me. And I mean, I saw my first pictures of it in Mad Magazine, and I would point it out to my dad and I say, what is this? and he would explain it to me, and he would explain. That's how I learned what a lynching was, because Mad was pointing it out and somehow making fun of the South for it. I can't remember what the context was, but I mean, that's how I would learn about, you know, and that would lead me to learn about slavery and leading me to learn about civil rights and stuff. So Mad, I hold in a particularly near and dear spot in my heart, because that's where I learned about a lot of civics and American history and stuff. It sounds weird, but that's where I learned about satire and things like that, is through Mad Magazine. And that's why I'm really sad. I think I'm not sure I'm smart enough to know what caused its downfall. Maybe because there's too much available on the internet now for people to find their particular brand of satire. You know, you can go to the Onion every day and find something funny every day, and Mad came out 8 times a year, and I don't even know how much it is now. It was 35 cents back in the 60s. So I'm not sure that I can figure out. Maybe there's too much choice out there now, and Mad wasn't special enough anymore. But I can tell you, in the 60s and 70s, that was the best satirical stuff you could find was in Mad Magazine.
Do you think it kind of has a lot to do with the rise of like online and social media and like the 24-hour news cycle, and you know, especially Twitter, where everybody thinks that they're Richard Pryor and it's Friday night at the Apollo and they want to crack 90% of them aren't really good at it. Do you think that kind of had an effect on it, where they're just not able to keep up because it is a monthly thing?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is a good point. Johnny Rando is saying, don't forget the movie parodies for things we weren't even old enough to see, which is a good point. They would make fun of R-rated films. Here's a good one. This was a thing called Joe. This was back, when was this issue? 1975. Joe was a R-rated film in the late 60s about he wore one of those sleeveless t-shirts, and they called it Schmo. That's what he looked like. He was like a right-wing conservative guy, and I couldn't go see that movie. And but they had Mort Drucker was an amazing caricaturist and would draw these amazing caricatures of people. And he had a point that they would caricature and make fun of these movies that we were too young to see at the time. You make a good point about since you can see stuff daily now. You can see stuff daily, and I think that makes it hard for all magazines.
Yeah.
Because like even Time magazine comes out weekly, but people are used to getting their news on the minute, and they're used to getting the news they want to get.
Yeah. You
know, people aren't interested in other people's opinions. They want to get their own opinion. You know, wherever they fall on the political spectrum, that's the kind of news they want to get. It's super fragmented, and they want to get it up to date like right now. And so I think all magazines are having trouble, not just Mad, but I'm not sure how funny Mad was anymore anyway. Because I didn't read it. Its humor, I think, appealed to the middle school you know, to read funny stuff now, funny stuff to read now to me, it was like the Flintstones by Mark Russell. That was the funny satire to me. Yeah. That probably would have been over my head if I read it as a middle schooler now, but that was something funny. That and the Snagglepuss Chronicles, that's funny to me. I don't know that Mad would be aimed at our age group 30 to 60. I think it's more like middle school, and I don't know that middle schoolers took to it like we did.
No, I totally agree. Especially nowadays, where I think middle schoolers and younger people are being exposed to so much with, Twitter, with Facebook, and everything. And I think it's just become. What am I hearing about that? Do you hear that?
You sound like you're underwater.
Check your connector on your headset.
Hello.
Yeah, you sound like you're underwater. Is that anybody else?
No, I'm hearing the same thing. I think maybe his headphone either died or it just isn't connected all the way. Hello? But also, do you think the political satire, like, that was pretty prominent in Mad would even be quote unquote acceptable today? Do you think they can get away with the things? Because I mean, I forgot who it was, but there was a political cartoonist that was fired out of the newspapers this week for certain things that he depicted recently that was in the news. So there seems to be a lot of sensitivity to certain political satire that probably was a little bit easier to swallow back in the 70s and the 80s and maybe even into the 90s that I don't think is really able to be taken care of today. I mean, outside of, movie parodies, that'd be great, but I don't know how much the political stuff is. But again, like you're saying, people have up-to-the-minute news on their phone. They don't really need to or want to wait for outdated magazines to give them their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's good and a bad thing because we've seen multiple. Now we're just getting into like news and stuff, but we've seen multiple times where it's just flat out wrong. Like they'll report something and then they'll have to do a redaction a few hours later, and then you hear different contrasting opinions. And in fact, I subscribe to the Joe Rogan podcast a lot, but this was one of the things where they were talking about it, like probably like a year ago or something, where there was a guy who said he just cut off all like online news websites. He wasn't doing Twitter. He wasn't doing any of the online news websites, and he would just pick up the newspaper the next morning. And he said the most refreshing thing was that he knew that the news was the most accurate it could be because it wasn't just right away. There was actually time for it to print. There was time for the editors, things like that. So, I mean, instead of just rushing to put out a story and rushing to get out clicks like we're doing right now, there was actually thought put behind it rather than just, let me type up something real quick just to get a catchy headline, which, that's kind of where we're at right now. And I personally feel it's just kind of unhealthy for us as a society as a whole that we're constantly inundated with just news, ads all over the place. So,
yeah, I agree with that.
And I don't think it's healthy. I really don't think it's healthy for a person or for somebody's mind or anything like that. Coming back from the cruise, where I was away from all that stuff for a good week, and then I fired up Twitter. It was just bam, 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 and I was like, oh, okay, all right, and I just shut it off. I was like, I don't need to see any of this crap.
Well, we all agree that Gio needs to get off Twitter. He's on Twitter way too much.
Hey, I manage social media stuff. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, it's healthy to consume things at small percentages or something, just
small doses.
Small doses. Thank you. And the news cycle it's vicious and it can be false. It can be true. It can be a lot of things, but don't get too much into it, especially on news sites and social media and all that stuff. Try and relax. That's usually what I do when I weekends. I just shut everything off, and it's healthier for you psychologically and physically as well.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. For instance, I never knew that George Washington was a fighter pilot until this past week.
There you go.
And he fought in the Revolutionary War. I didn't know that.
If he hadn't landed his fighter plane at Mount Vernon, the war could have totally turned a different way.
Okay, but yeah, I'm gonna miss Mad. I've had fond memories of Mad Magazine, mostly going to the grocery store and running to the magazine aisle and my mom letting me just like, all right, pick something up real quick while we're walking around the grocery store.
Yeah.
I honestly never read Mad Magazine. I think maybe 1 or 2 issues because I had the Ninja Turtles parody on the covers, and that was really it. I have no attachment to Mad Magazine.
I read it in the mid-90s, and I liked it because it spoofed stuff that I liked. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the magazine evolved into more of gross-out humor, because what Jess is showing is more satire and clever writing for a younger crowd. But from what I remember, it was mostly just parodies of movies and pop culture and gross out stuff. So I think the quality wasn't there in the long run. Plus, like we were talking about with Vertigo, I think, they originated that stuff and now everybody's in on it. So the quality isn't going to be maybe the best one. So I could sort of see them making the decision to stop. Plus, you got to factor in sales and all that stuff. But yeah, I think mostly it's a quality thing.
Yeah. And, the Simpsons have kind of run into this problem too, where they've run into the issue where it takes them, Jess, you'd probably know more than me, I think it takes them like 6 months altogether to do one episode of The Simpsons.
I think it takes them a year.
Close to it, right? And they've got a huge team working on it.
Yeah.
By the time they get the episode out, it's like, oh, that's kind of already dated. South Park can knock it out in a week, and that's why they're able to kind of stay on top of things.
Right.
They're able to stay so relevant. But I'm gonna miss it. Even though I haven't paid attention to it, it's still a fond memory of my childhood. And it's kind of a thing where, yeah, AT&T, along with its purchase of everything that they've gotten, they got Mad Magazine and Vertigo, and that went away. So.
Yeah, like here's a perfect example. This is a greatest. They would do these annuals where they would collect old stuff and put it together with bonus stuff that they would put in there. And here's like a super political thing: worldwide reaction to news from Washington. If someone in Washington says blank, Britain will say, France will say, Russia will say, the Arabs will say, Israel will say, China will say. And so this is what I grew up on, is this kind of social and political commentary. And then here's a scene we'd hate to see: the morning delivery, uncontaminated milk, clean air, pure water. That's what I grew up on, this kind of stuff. And I don't know, this is pretty, if Secretary of State Kissinger says, Britain will say, Senator Mansfield, Teddy Kennedy. So this is what I grew up reading. So it was pretty much of an education to read Mad Magazine. I'm not embarrassed to say that I got a lot of good education reading Mad Magazine. I don't know if my parents knew that or not. They certainly didn't mind my reading it. They gave me 35 cents every 2 months to get it. Here's a political statement on the Vietnam War, showing the helicopters having just killed a bunch of people. Something about the helicopter will soon prove to be a faithful servant of the peaceful progress of humanity, from the inventor of it, Igor Sikorsky. That was the kind of stuff I grew up on, and I'm sorry that it's not around, but it's hard for me to figure out how it could be kept alive in circumstances like today.
Well, you also kind of have to think about it too. We didn't talk about this, but the success of Mad Magazine is a byproduct of the Comics Code, because Mad Magazine was really a comic book that Harvey Kirkman was putting out, and I think was it issue 7? Issue 7 or so is the last comic book, and because of the material that was being put in there, and because of Comics Code Authority, and because of Frederick Wortham and Congress and censorship, they got by all of that by becoming a magazine instead of being a comic book. So we got this out of a loophole in the censorship, which is kind of cool, and it's really about one of my favorite kind of historical ideas that we had with Mad Magazine and the comic book industry in general.
Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, I guess we could kind of move on to the next.
Move on. I was just going to show you my oldest issue. This is from the 50s.
Oh, go ahead.
If anybody wants to see the first issue of Mad, you can check out Torpedo Comics Instagram. I just put up a post since we had 2 giants of the industry end, Walking Dead and Mad Magazine. I did a post that had Mad Magazine #1 and Walking Dead #1 in it, just kind of as a thank you. So if you want to see what that looks like, check that out.
All right.
Okay.
Did you fold the back cover? Did those have the fold back covers? Or
this one does not. I usually did not do that. This had a parody of an ad for Band-Aids. So it was Band-Ag plastic strips. And this was the back cover.
Jelly.
Some of these seem like they still hold up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole huge thing of these. I'm probably gonna. I cleaned up the kitchen really nicely this morning, so I can do whatever I want the rest of the day, and it's probably gonna be reading Mad Magazine now that I've uncovered all these.
I'm probably gonna order a handful of the last issue for the store.
Yeah. What else is going on?
Well, Gio and I are probably out of the 4 of us the most excited for this announcement. Akira Anime sequel coming from Katsuhiro Otomo.
Yay!
This title is kind of misleading though. Katsuhiro Otomo will create a new anime series described as a continuation of his iconic cyberpunk manga and anime, Akira, as announced at Anime Expo. What was originally reported, from my understanding, was that this was going to be more of a situation of along the lines of like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where it's going to be Katsuhiro Otomo is going to release an anime covering Akira. Now, if you've never seen Akira, the things with Akira is that Katsuhiro Otomo never really got to finish the book before the movie came out. So the movie has
the book. You mean that box set down there that's still sealed?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
that I'm very jealous of you because I actually want that. So he never really got to finish the manga before the movie came out. So the movie kind of ends about, what would you say, Gio, 2/3 of the way through where the manga actually ends, or like halfway?
I think so. I think it's about 2/3, maybe.
It's pretty close because once the movie ends, you kind of get into this post-apocalyptic setting where like a whole bunch of other shit just goes down, and it's great. It's really great. I actually, once I finished reading the manga, I actually preferred, story-wise, the manga over the anime. Both have their strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, we're going to be getting a re-release of it, and apparently what it's going to be following more closely to the manga. So I'm really looking forward to that. On top of that, we're also going to get a 4K release of the classic film that came out in 1988. For those of you that have never seen Akira, it's like I said, it's a classic. Before Akira, nobody had ever seen an animated film like it. It had the highest budget for an animated film at the time. Just the level of care and the level of production value that was put behind Akira was just unheard of at the time. And it was really one of those things that once it came over to the US and it started getting word of like, yo, have you seen Akira? We were like, no, what is it? And it just started blowing up, and it really kicked off like a lot of people watching anime over here in the United States and taking it more seriously. It's incredible. It really is, and it holds up even today. Just from a visual standpoint, from an auditory standpoint, it's beautiful to look at. It really is. I would put Akira up there with even the best animated feature films that come out today. Still,
yep,
100%. Wow, 100%.
It's a classic.
It's a classic, and it's a classic for a reason, and it holds up very well. It's incredible. Like the remasters that they have put out and the re-releases, the Blu-ray that came out, I think it was like a few years ago. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And when you're watching this, think about the fact that this is hand drawn, and this is 1988, and just when you look at the backgrounds, all that stuff is hand drawn. The lights, people actually went and individually colored in those. It's insane. It really is, and it's a classic for a reason, and it's a fucking great sci-fi story, and it's badass.
Wow.
It's easily, it's in my top 5. Like of films of all time, Akira is in my top 5.
Of any kind of film or animated film?
Of any kind of film. Akira
whoa.
Top 5. I love Akira.
Wow, that's saying a lot, man.
That sure is.
I love it. I really do. And it's funny because if you ask anybody who's seen the film, they'll all have kind of like their own different story about how they first saw it. For me, it was my cousin he had a VHS copy, and he was like, "Oh, dude, have you ever seen Akira?" I'm like, "What the fuck is Akira?" He goes, "Oh man, you got to check this out." So he puts it in, and I'm like, "Oh, it's kind of an animated film." And I think I was probably like 13, 14. And I was like, "Ah, okay, I'm kind of not really into anime yet." And I'm like, I'm not really into cartoons. And we start watching it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is completely different than what I've ever seen. Like you like Cowboy Bebop, you will love Akira.
Okay. Well, I loved Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, Jess, you haven't seen the Akira movie?
No, I have not.
Wow.
I think
you're in for a treat, dude, when you see that.
Yeah. It's one of those movies where, like Louise said, the technicality involved in it is just outstanding. It's easily one of the best movies of the 80s and of today. I can't wait for that remaster though. That's going to look great in 4K.
Oh yeah,
when's that come out?
Next year. Japan gets it next year, and then we get it a little bit later after Japan. It's a film that I'm actually willing to import from Japan. If it has the subtitles on it, I will import that from Japan to get it.
Oh, that should be easy to import.
Yeah.
There are a couple pages that let you do that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem to do that. I mean, I'm going to pay a little bit more, but I will definitely
would it already be dubbed? I'm not dubbed. Would it already be subtitled if you bought it from Japan?
For new stuff, they do that. They do the transfer and they add subtitles. I remember Your Name was released in 4K, and a friend of mine.
I still need to see that.
It's really good. A friend of mine bought the imported 4K, and it already had the English subtitles on it.
I need to see that. Damn it.
Okay. I need to see Akira too, obviously.
Akira's on Hulu.
Okay.
You can almost, I'm not saying you can almost justify it for a horror movie for your Saturday show. You can almost get there because it does have a lot of body horror in it.
Yeah.
I'd never get Jenny to watch it. She wouldn't watch anime.
No, but I remember when kind of like what Louis said, everybody kind of had their first experience with Akira. For me, it was always like if a friend had it, you kind of kept it secret. Like it was almost like a naughty movie to have. Like,
yeah. Really?
It was. Yeah. There's not. There's like a couple of seconds of boob, but it was just super violent. It was, you know, it was a Japanese import movie. You had to know somebody who knew somebody who probably had a bootleg copy of it, kind of thing. So it was really just one of those kind of underground things that was kind of passed around, almost kind of like when my friends would pass around home recorded copies of the Spawn series on HBO. It was one of those kind of things where don't let your parents catch you with this.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little bit nervous as far as the animation because Akira's animation is so iconic, and I know they're not going to go that traditional hand-drawn style in it because it costs way too much. So they're probably going to go like computers and things like that. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but the fact that Katsuhiro Otomo is attached to this lends me with a little bit more hope that they're not going to fuck this up and they're going to do it the right way. I'm kind of curious how many seasons we're going to get. I think they have enough 2 seasons, Gio? 2-3 seasons?
I have no idea.
Because you never finished it, right?
What? Sorry, I didn't hear you. What was that?
Did you finish Akira?
I've never read the manga. So.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, wow.
Nothing. I just know the movie. And I wanted to pick up the box set, but then it sold out. And then I'm like, whatever. So I never picked it up.
Maybe Akira will be the manga that Jess and I read if we do that comics for kids.
I think that is an excellent idea.
Do you have it?
I have the.
Oh yeah,
I have the box set too.
You already have it. You don't need to make an investment. You can just read it and review it for the channel.
I think that's a great idea.
But that's up to everybody. That's not our choice. Meaning everybody has to be able to donate the whatever set amount that we have in mind.
And that's what we have to do if we hit $500 or something?
Yes.
We have to read Akira?
Yes.
Oh, we'd hit that probably no problem if we had to read manga. People are dying to make us read manga.
Well, there you go. There's the incentive. Maybe we'll make it $700. I don't know.
Jess would have to start right now just to get through it, man. It's a lot.
I mean, are we talking about we have to read all, like, what is it, 9 hardcovers in that thing?
I think it's 6.
Yeah.
6, yeah.
Are we talking about all of it, or could we just start with the one and see where it goes from there? Like,
I think we'd have to read all of it for $700 or something.
Yeah,
all
of it, man.
100 per book, basically.
Well, okay. Again, if people donate that much money or whatever crazy limit we set it at, then we owe it to them, and we'll make it happen. It's not going to be like overnight. It's not going to be even probably within a month, but we'll make it happen.
Yes, good.
Because that would require me. I don't know about Jess's reading schedule, but I would have to put aside everything else and just focus only on Akira for that whole time.
Same with me.
It's worth it. Oh, it's worth it. It gets its hooks in you, and it's really good.
Talk about going from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
Let's
Make Havoc says that we need a cosplay while reading it.
Man, we'd be in cosplay for months.
Seriously.
Who here loves Sandman?
I do.
How do you feel about Netflix doing a Sandman series?
Well, I'm not going to prejudge it like everybody did. I mean, some guy was going, it's going to suck. They're going to fuck it up. Like, it hasn't even happened yet. I mean, they haven't even put pen to paper. How you know they're going to fuck it up?
It might end up like Why the Last Man, and it'll be like, here's an image of it being filmed. Never mind, that's all you get.
Yeah. Neil Gaiman's attached to it. It's possible it could be really good. I'm excited for the opportunity to see it.
Yeah. I mean, he's mentioned that he wants the same type of reading experience to be translated over to TV, where it's a very personal experience. Good. I don't know. It's a little bit difficult, but hopefully they can pull it off. I don't know.
Netflix has optioned DC's Sandman as a live-action show. According to the Hollywood Reporter, there is no fucking way they can pull this off. Alan Heinberg has reportedly signed on as showrunner / chief writer. With Neil
Alan Heinberg's attached? I'm in.
Yeah. with Gaiman and Goyer on board as executive producers.
Oh, Goyer's in? I'm out.
This movie, it's a movie? Oh, this thing is fucked before it even gets.
You're prejudging already?
Jess, it's a movie. You can't do Sandman as a movie.
Is it a movie?
Are you sure it's a movie? I thought there was going to be like a Haunting of Hill House type TV show.
Yeah, I thought it was like 11 episodes or something.
This is saying a movie. This movie would follow Netflix taking over Fox's Lucifer, which itself was a spinoff of the Sandman comic book series. Okay. The Hollywood trade cites sources who say the Sandman TV... So it is a TV show. Get it right. So it is a TV show. The Sandman TV show would be DC's most expensive TV foray ever. You guys dropped the ball with Swamp Thing. And
I was about to say.
Yeah. And one that DC's sister company, HBO, under Warner Media umbrella, passed on. It reportedly wasn't in consideration for Warner Media's planned streaming service, as selling it to a third party such as Netflix would bring in additional revenue up front and internally. This thing is dead in the water. There's no fucking way they could do this.
Leave it to Luis to always be the bearer of good news. And
yeah, you are a wet blanket, man.
There is no fucking way that they can do Sandman right. There just isn't. There's no way they can capture the nuance, the creativity, or even half of what proves in one single issue of Sandman. Based on everything that Netflix is putting out, they do not have the chops to put this out.
I think Sandman's being held in too high a regard if we have that kind of feeling towards this.
Sandman is brilliant, dude. I like it. Sandman. There's just no other way to put it. The Midsummer Night's Dream of Sandman is one of the greatest comics I've ever read.
If we can get an 85% really decent, good, thorough Watchmen movie and Sin City, then we can get a Sandman, I think. Watchmen is supposed to be the unfilmable comic book story, and that movie got it about 85% correct and was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Same with other I don't even know what I was saying. I lost track. But yeah, with that or Sin City. Sin City was basically shot per shot on a lot of that stuff, made it to film, which was an impossible task to think of, but they did it. So I think we have the possibility, we have the technology to do it. I'm just wondering if they're going to have, because it's not going to be the exact same. That's impossible. It's not going to be an adaptation. It's going to, of course, going to be an abridged version, stuff like that. Because they probably won't be able to get some of the DC characters in there, like the other mystery theater Sandman with the gas mask. He might not be able to be a part of it, but he was a part of that story lore and was actually a really good, solid part of the history of Sandman. And, when Morpheus was captured and no one was able to sleep. But I'm willing to give it a chance. I'm always looking forward to something good to come out of something like these, where we've wanted this for a long time. Same with White Last Man, same with me and Transmit. And, let's see how well they can pull it off. If they fuck it up, they fuck it up. It doesn't change the absolutes you guys have on your shelves or anything like that.
My thing is, yes, they were able to pull off like Watchmen and all that stuff, but Sandman is so much bigger in terms of scale because it does cover so many myths, so many religions, so many different time periods. It's so grandiose in scale, and there's so much that is put into just one single issue of Sandman as far as creativity and writing. I just don't see how they could even capture that. That's where I'm coming from. I adore Sandman. It's I've said it before. It's fantastic, and I think every single issue is just almost brilliant. But I don't see them being able to actually get this right. And if I eat crow, that's great. I've been wrong before, and I kind of hope I am.
I want to see you eat actual crow.
Exactly.
I like how you're all for the Akira, the Akira remake or whatever happening, but Sandman's automatically a fuck off.
Yeah, because Akira's animated, and Katsuhiro is almost really attached to this and deeply attached to it.
Isn't Gaiman attached to Sandman?
Mm-hmm.
but Gaiman hasn't always hit a home run with everything. American Gods season 2 wasn't that great.
You watched that without me?
Yeah.
Damn it!
They just broke up.
And
Oh boy.
it's been proven with things such as Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and so many different animes that if somebody is really attached to it and if they're really passionate and they come back to it, they can really knock it out of the park. Something along the scale of Sandman, I don't think has been done yet.
At least it's on TV, so you can do a lot with it.
Sure.
I would have been scared if it's a movie. That would have been a weird decision.
Yeah.
But a TV, I could see it happening.
Oh yeah,
Somewhat.
no, there was a movie planned a few years ago. It was like Joseph Gordon-Levitt was attached to it or something like that.
Oh, also, what's his face? Who was the Green Hornet? Who's that guy?
Seth Rogen?
Yeah, Seth Rogen was a part of that too.
Yeah. And it never got attached to it. And then in the 90s, Gaiman tried to get this off the ground. And it was the producer of Wild Wild West that tried to get it off the ground as a movie in the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah. Apparently he went up to Gaiman and he said, so can we put like a giant spider into it or something like that?
What?
Yeah. And this was before Wild Wild West. It's yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. It's good that it's going to be a TV show, and I guess they could divide it up more, but I am very cautious about this, and I don't have much hope for it.
Okay, Captain Buzzkill.
And Swamp Thing Absolute is still going to come out.
Yeah.
Yes.
That has a better chance of being better than Sandman.
I hope they cast a little girl from Wonder Woman as Death.
As Death.
Last thing. So the Flash writer and directors exit with It director and Birds of Prey writer in talks to replace. So director Andy Muschietti and screenwriter Christina Hodson are in talks to take over Warner Brothers' The Flash movie, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Muschietti was previously reported to be in talks for the Justice League Dark film and is attached for a live-action version of Attack on Titan, also at Warner Brothers. The writing and directing duo John Francis DeLay and Jonathan Goldstein have reportedly exited the project. However, Ezra Miller remains attached for the lead role. Miller's script with Grant Morrison was passed over, according to THR, and began courting Hodson due to her work on Birds of Prey. Andy Muschietti? With a full movie? I'm good with that.
It'll never happen. It's gonna suck. It's unfilmable. I hold the Flash in high regard. There's no way. It's impossible. I don't see how. It's too trippy, and it's every issue's a masterpiece. So I don't see how it's gonna happen.
I hope they can finally get to it, because I don't know, man. That movie has had like 3 different directors and different screenwriters, and for some reason, they haven't been able to stick around. I don't know why. And I really thought they were going to use Miller and Morrison for the script, so that bums me out a little bit. I kind of wanted that to happen.
Wait a second, I was on the phone. Is Grant Morrison out of the Flash movie now?
The script idea that they had, they are not going to use it.
Jesus, man. What does that mean? Ezra Miller is out? Because he threatened that if this one with Grant Morrison didn't go to fruition, that he was going to be out, because this thing has been in limbo for God, like you said, probably like 5 years now.
Yeah, but he hasn't said anything yet. I don't know.
Same with that Batman movie too. I mean, Jeff Johns was on it. Ben Affleck was on it. I don't know. Matt Reeves is doing it now. Who knows what's going to happen? These DC movies are really getting kind of shaky and scary. I want more. I want good movies to come out. But these shakeups, you know what? Honestly, they should stop reporting these shakeups. All it kind of does, I think, is kind of put distrust into the brand.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of it, and I've always said they need better PR control, because they let all this stuff just leak out and get hundreds of clickbait titles, hundreds of false news on websites, and it's aggravating. You get frustrated, but that is part of the process. Just other studios don't report it, and we never get to hear about that stuff until later. So I personally don't like that at all. Just let them work that thing out, and we'll see the movie eventually, I guess.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't understand the idea or what they're trying to get out of reporting. Oh, well, we stumbled again. Now we're starting over. Like, I don't understand like how that is giving any of the audience any kind of positivity towards watching it or anything like that. Because then it just turns into like, well, that movie sucked because it had 15 different screenwriters on it, like Toy Story 4. Oh, it does. It just feels that. It just feels automatic. Oh, this is going to be terrible because they couldn't get it right 15 times before. Or, oh, well, so-and-so had a nervous breakdown in the middle of making the movie. That's why Fantastic Four sucked. Stuff like that. So I don't know why. Like, who puts that stuff out there? It's weird. I don't understand. Like, does any other industry like do that? Is this a thing anywhere else where it's like, sorry guys, the PlayStation 5 isn't coming out because we found out that it gives your dog cancer. You know what I mean? Just like, where does this stuff like? Why even put out? Who advertises the negative side of things? They could just say, you know what, it's still in the works. It's still in the works, and just leave it like that, as opposed to like, you know what, we got Grant Morrison, one of the best Flash writers in the last 30 years. To do the script, and now we decided that wasn't good enough. Or now we got Jeff Johns, who controls basically everything with DC, and he's the creative director of DC, doing the Batman script with Ben Affleck, who is also a very, very accomplished screenwriter, director. Oh, but we decided not to use that. Like, it's just, it just continues to just make it worse and worse sounding.
Yep.
Nashville has nailed it. Negative posts get more engagement, man. When it comes down to it, people for whatever reason, we're just drawn to negativity and that drama, and that's the whole reason why we've got Twitter. And we kind of were talking about that earlier, where people are just instantly drawn to it. It's the equivalent of seeing a car accident on the side of the road. Our eyes immediately go to it, even though we're driving by.
Sure. But why do they advertise this? Why is it the movie companies putting this out of all things?
Well, they're not. Most of the time, they're not. It's leaks that come from studios and things that just get out into the open. A lot of times, that's what it is. It's inside sources that they hear from people, and it's just rumors, and 90% of it is bullshit that people just make up clicks. Because clicks equal money, equals advertisement. So that's why they do it.
But we don't do that on this show. So you're
No.
It's a little PSA. By the way, I read the thing you said about Sandman and the giant spider, and oh my God, it's true.
Well, that's the same guy that when Kevin Smith was writing Superman was like, oh, it needs to have a giant spider in it.
Yeah.
And then then they did Wild Wild West that had a giant spider in it. And then the Superman movie had a giant spider in it. The one that eventually came out with Henry Cavill, or spider-like creature. But yeah, that guy really has a thing for for claiming that he's had 500 street fights and putting giant spiders in his movies.
With Peters on board as producer, was released with the inclusion of a giant spider. Neil Gaiman said that Peters also insisted that a giant mechanical spider be included in a proposed film adaptation of The Sandman. Why? Nobody knows. Wow. Can you imagine?
That's awesome. Awesomely awful.
Dream versus a giant spider.
Oh, God.
Does anybody watch Stranger Things?
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't.
I think Luis and I was talking about in the chat where this is actually a good season so far compared to 2 that kind of sucked right out the gate.
I think it's the best season.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to it because I liked season 2. So if season 3 is even better than 2, I'm happy.
I think season 3 is the best season. It's really good. Pacing is great. Like, it's just go. Really, really good.
So does Tarantino have a feet thing in his movie? Somebody's saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why I can't stand that part in what is it, Kill Bill, where she's just sitting in the back of the truck for like 35 minutes and you're just staring at her gross feet and she's trying to wiggle her big toe.
Yeah,
it's in every single one of his movies. He's got like a close up of a woman's feet or something like that. He's got a foot fetish. It's been well known. And Inglorious Bastards, it's that scene where she puts her foot up and she's got like the cast or whatever, and you see it, and it's everywhere in all those movies. Which means you're going to see
that probably just ruined everything for me now because I'm going to notice it every time I see a Tarantino movie. Now.
Yeah, you're going to see Margot Robbie's feet in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, I was about to say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you're going to see Sharon Tate's feet just sitting there, like underneath the, the tarp they put her on or whatever.
If they turn Shazam into if they turn the Flash into what they did with Shazam, I'm going to be good with that. I love Shazam.
I love Shazam too.
But what do you mean they'll turn it into Shazam?
E.L. Denver said, I'm sure they'll turn the Flash into another Shazam after school special.
I wouldn't want Flash to be that hokey. I think it works for Shazam, but
it shouldn't be. But I really love Shazam.
We'll see what happens.
Also, they asked David Harbour if he was going to do a sequel for Hellboy? And he said that was pretty much dead in the water.
I don't think it's a sequel to Hellboy. Period.
Yeah, that property's dead at this point.
Yep.
Also, X-Men: Dark Phoenix was pulled out of theaters. It didn't last as long as they wanted to. So that's good.
Why is that good?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
Oh,
sorry.
I didn't. You're usually not sarcastic. I didn't pick up on that.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I think I'm done as far as summer movies. Other than the new Tarantino, I think there's nothing else this summer that I want to see.
I wouldn't mind seeing this Spider-Man a couple more times.
I haven't seen it yet. That sucks for me.
Are you spoiler free?
I don't know anything so far.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good. Oh, it's really good.
For what?
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it tomorrow.
Yeah,
so I saw Spider-Man, and I actually saw the Joker trailer because the Joker trailer was ahead of Spider-Man.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And that Joker trailer is the greatest fucking thing I've ever seen related to Batman ever.
Oh, really?
I'm not kidding. That thing was amazing. I know you haven't seen it either, Jess, but I think it's tracking down because it is a perfect. I mean, in my mind, the way I'm setting it up is it's a perfect origin story of this character becoming not only the Joker that I know and love, which is like the skinny, white-faced paint Joker, but also evolution of that character into what is probably considered one of the better remakes and redesigns of a character, which is the Heath Ledger Joker. They put elements of all of that together in this trailer, and it was great. Like, I'm happy with them not releasing the movie. I could just watch this trailer and just make that a part of like my timeline of Batman, of all the Batman characters with the Joker involved. All I need is just this trailer. Like, if this is not the origin story of Heath Ledger's Joker, then it's bullshit. It's just root beer bath at that point. It's just garbage. That's a term now, root beer bath. Whenever anything is just shit nonsense, it's just root beer bath.
Hashtag root beer bath.
Yeah, hashtag root beer bath. But yeah, if this isn't the true origin of that character, because in the trailer, they seem to kind of touch on the psychological, maybe broken personalities that the Heath Ledger character had and his different origin stories he kept telling people. All of that really seems to be spinning out of what was shown in this trailer. It is great.
Wow, I can't wait to see it. And now, is it on the internet yet?
Yeah, yeah, it's on the web. Yeah, in the trailer, he is physically changing into the Joker. Like he's getting skinnier and is like getting these weird bruises and and the character design and the face paint. It's wonderful. Like, who was the shitty Joker in the Suicide Squad movie? Jared Leto, yeah, forget that guy. That's root beer bath. He's garbage. This is now like one of the best iterations of the Joker. It's just this trailer alone.
Wow, yeah. I can't wait to see it.
It's great.
Probably show it on your.
Yeah, I was about to say just mute for like 2 minutes, just and watch it right now.
It's quick. Yeah, it's a really quick trailer. It's not in the same Nolanverse, Gabe. It needs
to be. It has to be. I mean, come on. It is definitely the Heath Ledger Joker. He has the long hair.
Yeah, it's in that same vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has the same vibe, but they're saying that it's its own standalone thing.
Like if Joaquin Phoenix is not like the next Joker in this like franchise or this leg of, you know, DC related movies that we're in or going into, then they're just they don't know what they're doing. They've lost all sensibilities, because this is the perfect Joker story.
He has a John Wayne Gacy vibe to him, and it's haunt. There are scenes in the trailer where it's like, this motherfucker is terrifying.
Like I'm watching this and I'm like, dude, this is Killing Joke. Like there's a lot of Killing Joke kind of like feel to it, where I never liked the idea of you wanting to feel sympathetic towards like a murdering bastard, heartless character like the Joker, but this gives you at least a backstory to why he is the way he is, as opposed to just being like a random crazy psycho person. But it's somebody who literally just seems to have just had one bad day that just turned him into this, and it's a gradual thing. Or you seen him being abused, and you know, maybe they might have the loss of his wife, pregnant wife kind of story, and they have elements of him trying to be a comedian and things like that in there probably as well. But this is very much like the Killing Joke.
Did you notice the club that he's playing at? Did you see the name?
No.
Pogo. You know what Pogo is?
I'm not sure where that's from.
Pogo was John Wayne Gacy's clown name when he was a killer. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So they're not burying the lead at all. That's a reference. Cool.
No, that was the name he used to go under when he would.
Ooh, crazy coincidence. I had it right here.
Something tells me he's not going to kill anybody with that brush.
Probably now's a good time for me to talk about InStockTrades.com, where you can get your collected editions up to 50% off. Loyalty discounts add another 2% to that. There's always, every quarter, an Omniboslive discount code. If you order $50 or more worth of books in the United States, you get free shipping. Fabulous customer service, fabulous packaging. That's InStockTrades.com.
Everybody in chat saying that this is not connected. That is stupid. This Joker needs to be the Joker. This is dumb.
Movies. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I turned off the chat because I didn't want to see anybody spoil Far From Home. But there was a question in there if I had seen the new Harley Quinn Stefan Stepjek, or however you say his name, artwork, and I have not. Is he working on?
I showed you that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, the cover.
It's that Harleen for Black Label that he's doing.
Okay, you did show me that. Okay, that's right. You did show me that. That's that new where she's the Silence of the Lambs type thing. Yeah, okay, you did show me that. Okay, yeah, I have seen that. Thank you.
I got you, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
When is that coming out, by the way?
I think this fall.
Check September. Got it. September 25th. It's a 9-issue retelling of Harley's origin. Joker Harley, Criminal Insanity, also from DC Black Label. What?
Good. I'm looking forward to that.
It's two different things. Sorry, it's Harleen, and there's a book called Joker Harley. It's two different books, but they're related to each other, I think.
Okay, now I'm confused.
Sorry.
Are they both 9 issues?
Harleen issue number 1 is scheduled September 25th and is scheduled to run for 3 issues. This will run concurrent with a 9-issue retelling of Harley's origin called Joker Harley Criminal Insanity, also from DC Black Label.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Got it. Well, I'm looking forward to those when they come out in collected editions next year.
Woohoo!
I wonder if Harleen is going to be magazine size like the other, some of the other Black Label stuff, like Batman Damned or Superman Year One.
That'd be pretty cool.
But that seems to be like their motif. Is that bigger size, and no, it's gonna be. I think it is because I'm looking at it right now. It's $8 for the first issue, and that seems to be the price for those black label books like Batman Damned and Superman Year One that are like that bigger magazine size.
Superman Year One, was that a Bendis book?
It's Frank Miller and John Jr.
That book. Okay, yeah. Right. Where he's a Navy SEAL or something.
Yeah, he joins the military. I think I haven't read it yet, but yeah.
Right. Okay. That sounds awful.
Yeah, that does. Who's the whore? Is Lois Lane a whore? Is that what it is? There's always one. There's always one in every Miller book.
Oh, well, Frank Miller always has to make like the female protagonist like a hooker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's his feet thing. I don't know. Maybe he's got a fetish for that.
I'm Frank Miller, and
the hooker with a heart of gold.
We were talking about the movie season, and there's still one big movie that Luis needs to see before the summer season ends.
Yeah, what's up?
Fast and Furious. Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, I do need to see that. You're
dude,
right.
That trailer looks incredible.
It looks so stupid. But
oh no, dude, come on! You like that stuff as much as I do. This thing is amazing.
I love it.
Jess needs to hurry up and catch up so that he can watch it.
Oh, I love it. I got to send you those movies. I've got them. I just have to get the box and send them to you. Yeah, I can't wait, man. The stupider, the better. The dumber, the better it gets. I love it. Just go full stupid. I'm all in.
Full stupid.
Full stupid.
I can't say what I'm not.
Full steam, stupid ahead.
Just go for it, man. Yeah. You know, at one point, The Rock is holding on to like a car and a helicopter, like he's fucking Captain America.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty.
It's ridiculous in all the right ways.
Oh, they introduced mutants into this one. Idris Elba is a bulletproof mutant, and they flat out pretty much say it. Yeah, we've got mutants here. I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm all in. Fuck it, yes, we're doing the mutant thing.
Can I start with this one?
No.
You're forcing me to watch all the others first?
But there is a gradual level of bullshit that you build up to.
Yeah.
It piles on itself.
You have to experience the raising of the bar in every single movie.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm pretty sure at the end of the next one, they're just going to look up at the sky and go, to space? Space? Okay, we're going to space in the next one, right?
Either that or to the center of the earth.
Yeah. There really is nowhere else to go from here. They have to go to space at some point.
Okay.
Just you build it. The thing is, you build up a tolerance as you go.
It's just great because of where the first movie starts. The first movie is very, very just kind of based in reality for the most part, and then it just gets the lines of reality just continue to get more and more blurred as it continues along, and your suspension of disbelief has to get stronger and stronger with each movie.
Oh, you're gonna make me sit through all of them when I really just want to see this mutant one.
No, you want to see all of them.
Yeah.
That last one almost broke me though, man. The point where The Rock pushes, not even like punches, just nudges a nuclear silo missile like away from him with his bare hand when they're on ice. Oh, it's great. It's so good.
Well, also, just you have to see at least the last one before you see this, because that's what introduces like the idea of The Rock and Jason Statham's character meeting for the first time and their kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So story-wise, quote unquote story, as much as there is a story, like you're missing out. It's almost like jumping into Annihilation without reading like Thanos Redemption first.
Okay.
There is some details that you're gonna want to know a little bit first.
Okay.
there are some character nuances that you have to be aware of before you go.
Nuances. You just like saying that word.
No. There really are character nuances. It's a beautiful thing. It builds up.
I love how the show always turns into like a Fast and the Furious podcast.
All right. I think we've run out of energy and time. So, Gio, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at A Week in Geekdom, where I talk about anime, comics, manga, and everything else in between. That's A Week in Geekdom.
Awesome. Lou, where can we find you?
Comics Guide 101 on Facebook and Twitter.
And Gabe?
You can find me on Instagram, Gabe Infinity Watch. Also follow Omniboslive on Instagram. Yeah, I'm here on this show every Sunday and Monday. But next week I'll be in San Diego, so we'll see how that shakes up.
Oh, wow. San Diego already. That's right.
Yep.
All right. And you can find me, Omnidog, on Omnidog's Vault on YouTube and Omnidogs_Vault on Instagram. So thank you to our sponsor, InStockTrades.com. Thank you to our viewers. And thank you to our chatters. The chat was great. And please give us a like. Please subscribe. Leave a comment. We try to respond to all comments. And as usual, peace and love. Peace and love. Goodbye, everybody.